That base also handles the air war in Afghanistan, where over the weekend a U.S. airstrike destroyed a hospital, killing 22 civilians. The top U.S. general in Afghanistan said today those responsible will be accountable. And Mark Phillips is following this.
2 days after the U.S. airstrike that destroyed this hospital in Afghanistan, the Pentagon has now changed its story on how and why the attack happened. It was not, as was first said, called in by U.S. forces under threat while working with Afghan government troops trying to retake Kunduz from the Taliban. The airstrike was called in, U.S. General John Campbell said, by the Afghans themselves.
Afghan forces advised that they were taking fire from enemy positions and asked for air support from U.S. forces. An airstrike was then called to eliminate the Taliban threat, and several civilians were accidentally struck.
By several, he means 22, 10 patients and 12 staff members, killed by the devastating firepower of an AC-130 gunship like this one. The attack went on for an hour. The hospital is run by the international medical charity Doctors Without Borders, which bravely operates in many of the world's war zones. And it insists it had specifically informed both U.S. and Afghan authorities of the hospital's location. As for the Kabul government's claim that the Taliban were firing from around the hospital compound, the group's executive director, Vicky Hawkins, insists that was not the case.
The comments coming from the Afghan government are absolutely outrageous. I mean, they are, to an extent, justifying the destruction of a fully functioning hospital.
The Pentagon, NATO, and the Afghans themselves are now conducting investigations. Doctors Without Borders says the only credible inquiry must be international and independent. Beyond the tragedy, the airstrike raises questions about how U.S. air power in Afghanistan is controlled, about the rules of engagement that are used, and, Scott, about whether designated areas like hospitals can become free fire zones.
Mark Phillips in the London newsroom tonight.